Without opening his eyes, he spoke. "You have come for your son, Ikenna." Mama Ikenna's heart skipped a beat. "Yes, wise one," she said, kneeling before him. "My son, he is unable to find a wife. No woman can handle his manhood. The village is beginning to question him. Please, I need answers." The dibia picked up a calabash filled with white chalk and drew strange symbols on the ground. He then threw 4 cowries on the sand. Eke, Ori, Afar, Nkwo, watching as they landed. After a long silence, he sighed. "Ikenna is not an ordinary man," he finally said. "His strength is not meant for just any woman. He has a destined one whose spirit aligns with his. Until he finds her, no other woman can satisfy him." Mama Ikenna's eyes widened. "Who is she? Where can we find her?" The dibia smiled mysteriously. "She will find him when the time is right. Be patient. The gods are at work." When Mama Ikenna returned home and told Ikenna what the dibia had said, he felt both relief and frustration. Relief because now he knew he was not cursed. Frustration because who was this destined woman? Where would he find her? And when? Each day, he went about his work, but his mind was no longer at peace. He longed for the one woman who would not run away from him. But where was she? Would she ever come? Little did he know, she was closer than he thought. By now, Ikenna's dilemma had become the biggest talk in Umokwe. His name was on the lips of men, women, and even children. Some mocked him, some pitied him, some simply waited in amusement, eager to see who would try next. Then came Chinelo. She was the daughter of Chief Okeke, the wealthiest man in the village. She was stubborn, fearless, and sharp-tongued. A woman who never backed down from a challenge. Unlike the others, she was not interested in Ikenna for love or marriage. She was interested in proving a point. When she heard of Nkem's failure, she laughed. When did Umokwe women become so weak? She sneered at the market square. Why? A mere man made you all run. Ikenna is just flesh and blood. I will prove it. That evening, Chinelo marched to Ikenna's hut, her head held high, her eyes burning with determination. "Ikenna," she called out, placing her hands on her hips. "I have heard the stories. I have seen the fear in eyes of weak women. But I am not like them. I am the daughter of Chief Okeke. I'll be the one to tame you." Ikenna sighed. He had heard it all before. Still, there was something about Chinelo's confidence that intrigued him. Maybe she truly believed she could handle him. Maybe this time things would be different. So he nodded. "Let us see," he said simply. Chinelo, ever the daring one, insisted the meet not in his hut, but by the river bank, beneath the full moon. The village women gathered in small groups, whispering excitedly. "This one is different," some said. "She is fearless," others agreed. But will she last? Night fell, and the entire village held its breath. At the river bank, the water glistened under the moonlight. The frogs croaked in the distance. The night air was cool, filled with scents of wildflowers. Chinelo stood before Ikenna, her wrapper tied loosely around her chest, her boldness unwavering. "Let me see what has terrified all these women," she said with a smirk, stepping closer. Ikenna remained silent, watching her, waiting. Then, as he untied his waistcloth, everything changed. At first, Chinelo stared. Then, her eyes widened. She gasped loudly, stumbling backward. And before Ikenna could say a word, she let out a blood-curdling scream. "Ah! Chimo!" The sound echoed through the trees, startling the birds. Before Ikenna could react, Chinelo turned and ran. But she did not run back to the village. No, In her sheer panic, she sprinted straight for the river and jumped in. With her wrapper flying behind her, she plunged into the cold water and began swimming furiously, desperately towards the other side. Ikenna stood frozen, watching in disbelief. The village, awakened by her scream, rushed toward the riverbank. They arrived just in time to see Chinelo reaching the other side, climbing out of the water and vanishing into the trees, never looking back. For a moment, there was silence. Then someone snorted. Then another chuckled. And then the entire village burst into laughter. Even the elders, who had come to see what was happening, could not hold back their amusement. Chinelo the lioness has turned into a frightened chicken. She ran into the river as if water would save her. Even the village children began singing. Chinelo ran, Chinelo swam. She ran from Ikenna, yes she ran. This incident made Ikenna's situation even worse. If before he was the subject of whispers, now he was the center of outright jokes. People laughed when they saw him. Even the palm wine tapper, Pa Okechukwu, shook his head as he sipped from his gourd. If a chief's daughter ran into the river, then Ikenna is truly not a man. He mused. Maybe the spirits themselves made him. There were whispers of Ikenna, the man with a gift too big for any woman. Even Mama Ikenna could not go to the market without hearing the new song about her son. Ikenna, once a proud, strong and respected man, now felt utterly defeated. Would he ever find a woman who could handle him? Or was he truly meant to be alone? The morning after Chinelo's great escape, the village of Umokwe buzzed with laughter and gossip. If anyone had harbored doubts about Ikenna's predicament before, Chinelo's reaction confirmed it. Whatever he carried between his legs was not ordinary. The rumors spread like wildfire. And as they spread, they twisted and grew, becoming more exaggerated about Ikenna's secrets. Some claimed that what the women saw was not just large, but unnatural, almost monstrous. It's like a tuber of yam. It's like the yam tuber of the gods, one said. No, it's like a horn of a great ram. I heard it is so long he has to tie it around his waist like a warrior's cloth. To fear such a thing cannot be from this world. Some even began to fear that Ikenna was not fully human, that perhaps his father had been a spirit or a god in disguise. The one person who enjoyed the scandal the most was Ozemena, the village drunk. Each evening, after drinking one too many gourds of palm wine, he would stagger through the village square, singing his own version of the children's song. Ikenna, the man too big. Women see, women flee. Who will dare? Who will stay? No one knows, not today. His laughter would fill the night air, and the villagers would chuckle, even those who pitied Ikenna. Even the young boys found ways to tease. Whenever Ikenna walked past, one or two would whisper loudly, "Here comes the man with a spear of thunder. Hide your daughters. He might scare them away just by coming too close." The few women who had tried and failed to be with Ikenna refused to speak of what they had seen, but their silence only fueled more speculations. One day, a bold young girl named Oledo cornered Adaeze near the village stream. "Adaeze," she said, eyes wide with curiosity, "what did you see that made you run that night? Is it true what they say?" Adaeze's face turned pale. She quickly scooped water into her calabash, muttering, "If you value your sleep at night, you will never ask me such a question again." She hurried away, leaving Oledo even more intrigued. Nkem, who had once boasted of handling men, now avoided the village square completely. She no longer laughed at festivals. She no longer gossiped with other women. Instead, she spent her time indoors, tending to her cooking and pretending not to hear the taunts. "Manhandler, you couldn't handle him?" some women would whisper when she passed. Or in the middle of a gathering, someone would say loudly, "If even Nkem could not stay, who are we to try?" And then the laughter would follow, shaking the air. With each failed encounter, with each mocking song, Ikenna withdrew further into himself. Once, he had been the pride of Umokwe, the strongest blacksmith, the most hardworking young man, The man every father wanted as a son-in-law. Now, he was just the subject of ridicule. He stopped attending festivals. He no longer drank palm wine with his friends under the great Udara tree. Even when the village elders summoned him, he kept his answers short. He spent more time alone in his workshop, hammering away at hot iron, pouring his frustration into the fire and the metal. What was the point of all his strength, all his wealth, if no woman could stay with him? Was he cursed? Would he spend the rest of his life mocked, alone, and unloved? The final blow came one evening when two old women seated by the roadside saw Ikenna passing by. They leaned toward each other, thinking he could not hear them. One whispered, "Maybe he was never meant to be with a woman." The other gasped, "You mean like an abandoned spirit?" "I mean, have you ever heard of a man so feared that even the bravest women run?" Ikenna's steps slowed. His hands clenched into fists. That night, he lay in his hut, staring at the thatched roof, his mind drowning in frustration. The words of the old women echoed in his head. Maybe he was never meant to be with a woman. Was it true? Would he die alone, carrying a burden no woman could bear? He turned on his side, his fists clenching the raffia mat beneath him. He had been mocked. He had been humiliated. Even the village drunk sang about his shame. It was one thing for women to run. It was another thing for the entire village to see him as an abomination. A man whose manhood was more of a curse than a blessing. Ikenna shut his eyes, trying to silence the thoughts. But the whispers wouldn't stop. The laughter wouldn't stop. The shame wouldn't stop. And so, at that moment, Ikenna made a decision. If he was cursed, he would break the curse. If no woman in Umokwe could handle him, then he would find someone who could, even if it meant leaving his village forever. And with that thought, he finally fell asleep, unaware that destiny was about to bring him the one woman meant for him. One fateful market day, as Umokwe's market was bustling with activities, women wrapped in bright Ankara fabrics balanced calabashes of fresh palm wine on their heads, traders calling out their prices, and the sweet aroma of roasted yam filled the air. Ikenna walked through the market, his face set in a firm, unreadable expression. He had come to buy a new sharpening stone for his blacksmithing tools. But deep down, he knew he was simply trying to escape the whispers of the village. Ever since his failed encounters with women, he had become a source of amusement. People thought he was cursed. Some laughed behind his back. Some mocked him openly. And some even claimed he would never find a woman who could handle him. But today, something felt different. As he walked past a store selling beads and cowries, he suddenly felt a strange electric pull in his chest. It was as if his spirit had jolted awake. Then he saw her. She stood by an elderly woman's stall, examining a woven basket with delicate fingers. His breath caught in his throat. She was not just beautiful, she was breathtaking. Her skin was smooth and radiant, the color of rich roasted cocoa. Her eyes were dark and deep, holding a quiet mystery that sent a shiver down his spine. But it was her body that left the village men staring. Her curves were full yet firm, with hips that moved like a gentle wave, and a waist so small it seemed crafted by the gods. Her long dark hair was braided neatly, resting on her shoulders like a crown. Ikenna felt his legs grow weak. For the first time in his life, he felt powerless before a woman. Then she turned. Their eyes met, and in that moment, the world stood still. She felt her heartbeat quicken. She had heard whispers about Ikenna, the man no woman could handle, but she had never seen him in person. She expected to find a man unpleasant, perhaps rough, like a beast that women ran from. But what she saw made her stomach tighten. He was tall, strong, and strikingly handsome. His muscles, carved by years of hard labor, rippled beneath his loose wrapper. His jawline was sharp as a warrior's blade, and his dark, piercing eyes burned with intensity. He was not just a man, he was a god in human form. A slow, knowing smile crept onto her lips. She had seen many men fall over themselves for her, but this was different. She could feel it in the air, the unspoken energy between them. Ikenna swallowed hard and approached her.